All right, I hope you had time to make some coffee, get your, Krispy Kreme ready, because we're gonna roll here. This is my magical board, as you know, and people who are in my NCLEX review course love the board because they have told me that their teachers read off PowerPoints and completely bore them as if like you paid all that money and they're reading off a PowerPoint. Well, that's bullshit in my eyes. So we're gonna actually teach you with the board and some interesting things we're doing today on PVCs. So if you come with me, you will see that PVC stands for premature ventricular contractions. The word premature is a big deal because essentially, if you think of a premature baby, that baby has come too early. This premature ventricular contraction has also come too early. It has come where a P wave would have been. But forget all that. Let's do what I always tell you to do. I always tell my sweethearts to look at the freaking strip. Just look at it. It's so bizarre. It's so freaking weird. If you get weird and bizarre shit on your NCLEX, it's probably a PVC. Unless, of course, there's no QRS or whatever, then of course we're talking about VFib. But in this situation, it just looks really weird, okay? Now, find your predictable P wave. You know that's what we taught you before. You understand that we are always looking for our P wave on the EKG because it kind of essentially sets the tone for how this should go. So when you find your P wave, remember that we said it was atrial contractions. So when the atrial contract, they give you a P wave. Now I'm going to get fancy on you and you're not going to get a headache. That's called atrial depolarization. The depolarization, you know, she loves the D. The depolarization is the contraction of the atria. So if there is no P wave, there's no atrial contraction. We talked about this. We said you could have AFib or a flutter if there's no P wave. But that's not what's happening here because you definitely will be able to find your P wave. Now, just a little side note. Because with PVCs, this matters. It matters that you know that the SA node, which is in the right atria, is the pacemaker of the heart. It sets the pace or the rate of the heart. Remember that the P wave is a half moon. That's what we're doing here. That's a little predictable half moon. And that this is all, this SA node business, is in the right side of the heart. So it's gonna start this rate off. The problem is that with premature ventricular contractions, this is coming before the P wave. It's trying to take over on the SA node's duty, right? It's setting the pace of the heart and doing goofy stuff. Now, keeping along our little 1, 2, 3 step-by-step process, we have number 3 here. Find the QRS complex. If you remember from other videos, and you should be looking at all of these videos because they kind of flow together, the R wave itself is like the peak of the mountain, right? It's at the top. The Q and the S, of course, are on the sides, but you're looking as a whole for a QRS complex, and this represents ventricular contraction. And you know I told you she loves the D, so here we go again. Depolarization. Depolarization, atrial contraction, little tiny hump. The atria are smaller, they're contracting, little tiny hump. The ventricles are huge. They're the big muscular part of our heart, and they are pumping, remember? And so when they contract, oh, huge QRS, okay? Now, so that's that. Now, when you find the QRS complex with the PVCs, they are wide, and you have to ask yourself, when you saw that wide QRS, did you notice? Isn't that where the P wave should have been? because you'll see on that strip with PVCs, you'll see some normal activity. You'll see the P wave, and immediately next door to that, you'll see a QRS, and then you'll see a little bitty pause and a T wave. That's the way it's supposed to go. The alphabet, P, QRS, T. No, I want to do it different. P, QRS, T. Oh, okay. See, I get wrapped up, so y'all just have to stay focused, okay? Moving on. Now, number 4, our last step in understanding this PVC nonsense. When you see this strip and you found some PVCs, you will know it because there will not be a T wave directly after it. It will almost be on top of it typically. So find that T wave. Look at the normal T waves first, and then look at that PVC. When you find the T wave, this is supposed to be, get this, the T wave is supposed to be ventricular filling or repolarization. Now I know I'm boring you today with this depolarization, repolarization shit, but I got a trick. Repolarization is relaxation called refractory stage. This is when the actual ventricle is filling up with blood. Following a PVC, the T wave is all up on top of the daggone QRS. The QRS that's so wide. It's like an extra hump. And so this is all jacked up. You feeling me? Now, you will find this T wave with this PVC, like we said, often abnormal. You will find a long compensatory pause after the PVC. And I hope Erin is catching my really cool hate my life face, because this hate my life face represents your heart has an attitude. You done sat up here and went and did the P wave, normal QRS, then a T wave, and then somehow you forgot the order of events. P, QRS, T wave. You forgot, and you didn't want to wait on the P wave to do its thing. You didn't want to wait for the atria to contract. Matter of fact, the atria never even got a chance to contract because this doggone QRS came immediately, and it came too early. It came before the P wave. And when it came too early, it pissed your heart off. So what did your heart have to do? Pause. What just happened to me? I just got screwed, dude. Because if you think about it, the atria were supposed to contract, fill up the ventricle with blood, then the ventricle was supposed to contract, send that blood through the aorta and to the rest of your body, but that didn't happen. So your body has an attitude, your heart has got a real attitude. And so it's taken a pause because it's hoping that it's allowing the ventricles to fill up with more blood since you cheated it. Now, one last thing. The reason why you care that there's a pause is because your patient will feel palpitations or flutter during that pause. Now listen, go get something to eat. I'll be back.